Hello viewers, you join me as you can see in London. I'm just outside the Houses of Parliament or the Palace of Westminster. I'm actually here in London to attend an all-party parliamentary group meeting which is on the subject of child safeguarding in faith communities. The last one of these that I attended in person was in January of 2020. Thumbnail here if Tibor is gracious. I've since attended another one on Zoom, but now of course meetings such as these are taking place in person again, and I received an invitation, so I've decided to come along. And I'm suited and booted, as you can see. This is quite a big deal for me because I'm an activist, and activists, in my opinion, should be looking for opportunities to get their voices heard. In the 10 years plus that I've been doing this activism work as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, the dominating issue for me has been the way Jehovah's Witnesses cover up and mismanage child sexual abuse or allegations of child sexual abuse. I was a core participant for the recent independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, and frankly I was very disappointed in that particular public inquiry and the way it dealt with such kid gloves, shall I put it that way, when it came to the scrutiny that was applied to my former religion. I'm attending this meeting today because I want an opportunity to ask a question to members of Parliament, and that question is, why aren't you going after the data? There is an organisation headquartered in Chelmsford, Essex, the Jehovah's Witnesses. There is documented evidence presented to ICSA that they are hoarding information on accused pedophiles. Why can't the police go for it? Why is it that nothing is being done? So, as pleased as I am about the opportunity to be here, and I'm very excited about going into this building for the very first time, I'm also approaching this with kind of a heavy heart that I even need to be addressing this subject or addressing this particular question. So I don't know how this meeting's going to go. Tibor was supposed to be with me, but unfortunately he's back at the Airbnb. He's a bit poorly, so I've let him have the day off. What I'm going to do, because I'm not allowed to film inside, is do a quick piece to camera when I come out, giving my initial thoughts, and then maybe sit down tomorrow when I've had a bit of time to reflect and give a fuller picture. But for now, wish me luck. I'm inside Westminster Hall. I'm supposed to go down those steps. But yeah, this is quite a historic place and I'm very intimidated. Well, the meeting has ended. It was a very interesting experience. I do have some thoughts. I was able to say something. I said something on mandatory reporting, and it was very attentively listened to. You know, I was looking up and I was looking around the room, and it was really nice to be being listened to. There were, I'm going to say, 2 members of Parliament in the meeting. I would have liked there to have been more, but rather than go over it all now, I'm just at Westminster Tube Station. I am going to digest what's happened and talk about it tomorrow. Well, I've had some time to reflect on the meeting. By the way, as you can see, I'm outside Buckingham Palace. I did want to film outside Westminster, but for whatever reason, we're not there, we're here. And it's quite historic because obviously there's a king in there now as opposed to a queen. But anyway, back to the meeting, and I feel, having had chance to reflect on things, overall, it was a very positive meeting. I feel very pleased and honoured to have played a part in it. There were, I don't know whether I mentioned, 17 people in the room. It was quite a small room, but there were 2 MPs in there. There was also a peer who was also a bishop, and the meeting was very positive. It was very frank. people were able to take it in turns to talk. Some people spoke more than once, having introduced themselves. I just spoke the once after introducing myself, and I spoke a bit about mandatory reporting as recommended in the ICSA inquiry concluding report, and I spoke about the fact that mandatory reporting needs to be mandatory, and unfortunately, due to the way the wording of the report has been put together, it's not really mandatory because it allows for example, someone who sees a database record on their computer screen to look at that record and not face any criminal charges for failing to pass it on to the authorities, because according to ICSA, you're only criminally liable to report abuse if you witness it firsthand. If you see what they call signs of abuse, it's not a matter of going to jail if you don't do it. So there are weaknesses, and I spoke frankly about those weaknesses and gave the example of the database. I wanted to say more on the database, but I wasn't able to. Although at the end of the meeting, they did make it clear that anyone who wanted to send in an email with things that they didn't have time to say could do so. So I've since sent in an email talking a little bit more about the database and how horrified and disgusted I am that no one's doing anything about it. That apparently it's possible for Jehovah's Witnesses to keep a database at their Chelmsford HQ with, I've extrapolated, thousands of names on it of perpetrators, and Crown Prosecution Service, police, ICSA, no one seems to be interested. So I've expressed all that in an email, and hopefully that will rest in the consciousness of the group so that maybe it can be discussed at a later meeting. But of the 17 there, 4 were ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, which, if you think about it, is quite telling. And I think that at times, same as with the last time I was here, at times it feels very JW dominated, but I think there's a reason for that. It was interesting that there was a representative of I'm going to say one of the Pentecostal churches at the meeting, and it was his responsibility to look after the child safeguarding in his faith group. And I think even he commented, you know, why aren't there more people in my position representing different faiths in this meeting? So it feels in some ways as though it's just scratching the surface of a much, much bigger problem. It feels, dare I say it, a little bit inadequate compared to the scale of the problem. But I guess everyone has to start somewhere. It was nice to be involved. I hope I was able to contribute in a meaningful way. And if I can continue to contribute, I will obviously do so, because, again, as an activist, this is the sort of thing you should aspire to be able to sit in a room with elected representatives and look at ways of getting the law changed so that people don't get hurt. And if I was able to do that, fantastic. So that's really all I have to say. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the Lloyd Evans channel for more such videos, and thank you for watching.